Hey guys, Mr. Place here with another demo, this time on effect controls and keyframing. So we're going to use Premiere Pro and we're going to do a little lesson on animating our video or JPEGs in our timeline in Premiere Pro today, which is a very powerful tool for video editors. Here we go. What we're going to do is we're going to head on over to Video Production Alias, the network handout folder, VP30S or 40S, and we're going to go to To Video and we're going to copy this folder right here, Effect Controls and Keyframing. Copy. And we are going to paste that in our master folder into Video. Go ahead and do that. And when you do that, you'll see inside there's only one JPEG, 1920 by 1080 JPEG. It'll fit nicely in our timeline. Double click on it, it looks like this. We've got a 1, 2, 3, and a 4. So what we're going to do is when we open it up, we'll have a wide angle view of all this, and we're going to slowly zoom in on number 1, go to 2, 3, and 4 using keyframes in the effect controls panel. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to open up Premiere Pro. Open up Premiere Pro, we'll go File, New, Project, or New Project if it shows up. And this is important, we don't want to rush through this. First of all, what we want to do is hit Browse and browse to our working directory, which is definitely on the desktop in Master Folder, To Video. And we select Effect Control and Keyframing. When we choose that, all of our files, all of our autosaves will go into that mapped folder, which is really important. We don't want to lose any of our projects. Okay, so in the name, we're going to use normal naming conventions. So mine's on Mr. Place VP30 or 40S, and S1 2021, and it's called Effect Controls and Keyframing. Keyframing, there we go. So now we've mapped that, we've got our title. When we hit OK, got our nice little Adobe Premiere Pro interface, and now what we want to do is we want to import that JPEG. So let's double click there, we'll bring in the target JPEG, and it's 1920 by 1080, so go ahead and click and drag that and add to your timeline. There we go. So we've got a wide angle view right here. You can customize your look right here, and we want to make sure that we can see that we have this project going for 12 seconds. There we go, 12 seconds, right there. So if you look up here, there's 12 seconds. Sweet. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to select this right here, this on the timeline, the target background, and when we do that, Effect Controls will open up, and it looks like this, like After Effects. And we're going to drop down the menu Motion, and the two things that we're going to use for keyframing is positioning and scale. So what we want to do is we want to turn on the toggle animation, time vary stopwatch. So when we do that, we've got position and scale. There we go. So I want 1 second of basically this screen. So what I have to do is I have to pull this over to 1 second, and I have to go into my keyframes right here, and if you look, there's something really important. We have to add a keyframe in position and scale. So again, we'll start from the beginning. We move this over before we do anything, and now we're going to select these two, add. And if you look, it's added a keyframe right here. So for 1 second in our timeline, it's going to stay there. Okay, so 1 second is going to stay there. Now what we want to do using our keyframes is to zoom in on the target number 1. Okay, so how do we do that? We're going to move this over to 2 seconds, and we're going to use our scale and positioning. So I want this centered, almost touching the top and the bottom. So there's our number 1. Okay, so if you look in the keyframes right here, let's move this over a bit. So you can see these keyframes. So when we start, we know it's going to go for 1 second. Now it's going to zoom in at 2 seconds. So let's bring this to 2. I want it to stay there for 1 second. So what I have to do is I have to use this add keyframe again to stay there. So now look. Okay, at 4 seconds, we are going to move to the target number 2. So how do we do that? Well, we have to find it. I think it's over here somewhere. You might have to look around. There's 3, there's 2. Okay, so what we want to do is drop this centered. Okay, and if your safe margins are on, you can see that there's a center dot right here. I don't know if you can see it, but that's important to do. So let's center this. There we go. And so it looks like this. Moves to 2. So at 4 seconds, we want it to stay there for exactly 1 second, so we move this to 5 seconds. Okay, our playhead. And we have to add those keyframes. At 6 seconds, we will move to number 3. There it is. So this is animation. Basically, we're animating this JPEG. And so the implications of this is if you're using keyframes, you can do this to anything. Video, zoom in on separate parts of your video, zoom out, move to key parts that have focus that you want to kind of show your audience and emphasize. Okay, so I've lost track where I am. Let's have a look here. At 6 seconds, it will stay at 3. Okay, scale doesn't change because we didn't change the scale, but you see that in the position, you change the position, so it added a keyframe. We're going to go 1 more second here. We're going to add those keyframes. 1, 2. Okay, so here we go. We are at 6 seconds. It will stay for 7, and then at 8 seconds, we're going to, you guessed it, move it to number 4. Where's number 4? It's way over here. Now there's a problem with number 4. You'll see when we get there. There it is. When we move it over, you can see that it's very close to the edge. So you have to be very careful when you center this. There's no black on the right-hand side. Okay, that's acceptable there. So 3 moves to 4. We want to stay there for 1 second. So at 9 seconds, we add the keyframe. The last thing we do is at 10 seconds, we would like to move the positioning down so that there's nothing but white in the background of the JPEG. Okay, go ahead and click on your, let's try that again. At 11 seconds, we want to move this down. Let's try that one more time. Glitched out on us. There we go. There we go. Good. So at 11 seconds, we are going to use our type tool. We're going to go to graphics, edit. Oh, I have to type something in first. Here we go. And we definitely want to make sure that we have something as far as the fill on our text, not white, because it's a white background. So any contrasting color. So we use black, and we want to call it your name, VP 30 or 40S, S1 2021, and we're also going to name it, and it's called Effect, Controls, and Keyframing. There we go. So we can use our move tool here, selection tool, just to put that there, and look at that. So it's abruptly going to start right here, and I'd like you to fade it out here. So let's go Command, fade out right there. We're going to use our razor tool. We're going to chop this off at the end, and let's select and remove it. Remember to go to our home, add a input. I'm hitting I on the keyboard, as you remember, and go to the end of the film and add an O for output. We're going to save our project, and now we are going to go File, Export Media. File, Export Media, and remember the new standard is now going to be hitting Q to open up Media Encoder. So let's go H.264, output name, we still have to name it. Here's a little trick right here if you want to save some time. Just click on your project file, the purple one. It'll name it for you. You don't have to type everything in there as long as you've put everything in the right place. We hit save and then Q. There we go. So I have got media encoder working. It's dropped down to an H.264, obviously. That's what we want, H.264. High bit rate. We've already named it, and all you do is go ahead and hit the start queue. Look at that. Perfect. So if we did everything right, we've got a project file, and we have an export of an MP4 with the codec H.264, and we want to look in our master folder. We want to select both of those, copy. We want to head on over to the hand-in folder. So we're going to get some marks for this. Hand-in folder, VP30S or 40S, to video, and look at that, Mr. Place hasn't made such a new project. I have to make a new folder and add that. So it's called Effect Controls and Keyframing. Oops, spelling is important. Okay, and that's where we want to paste those. So I've pasted 2 items. One is my project file, my purple project file, and then my export MP4. Okay, so this exercise is crucial in that you can use this technique to enhance your videos by animating them. Any type of JPEG you want to zoom in on a certain part, you're welcome to do that. And of course, you're using keyframes. And those were those little dots you saw up in the area of the assets that we brought in. Okay, that's the project, 5-mark project. Good luck. Looking forward to seeing your projects. Place out.